So here's the second part of a talk by me, Terence Blacker, about my book Missy, published by Clet, which I had great fun writing. It's a team reader, and as I was saying in the previous little video, the whole point is to have these three different levels of difficulty of reading, and the way I've done that is by having three different characters: Tree and Jamie and Marco, and they all have their own little dramas in the story, and I hope the dramas interweave quite well. And so what I'd like to do in this part is just to read three chapters, one from each character, and you can then tell how they are, how it works. So this is chapter 3. Now this is Marco. Marco's the youngest of the three. He talks in very simple, direct terms, and he's a very strong character, but he's been bullied in his life. He's had a very tough life. He's looked after by his grandmother, and so this is, I can just give a little bit of a background. The three at the beginning of the book were in they found that their music room, the little building in the schoolyards where they play music together, has been trashed, and the head teacher thinks it's them because they're always in trouble, and they've got into trouble. So this is that's chapter 2, and this is chapter 3. This is Marco speaking. I always feel alone. I was alone on the day I woke up in my nan's house, and I knew that my mum and dad had gone forever. I am alone in the playground when the children call me names. I am alone in lessons when our teacher, Miss Gordon, asks me a question and sighs when I don't know the answer. And I am alone that day when Mr. Attia, that's the head teacher, when Mr. Attia looks at me and says, "Surprise, surprise." I always feel alone. That's just the way it is. After we leave the head teacher's room, Tree, that's the eldest girl of the trio, Tree puts a hand on my shoulder. Tree says, "Don't worry, Marco, we'll sort this out. Will you be in trouble with your nan?" Me: "I don't think so. My nan is not the worrying type." That evening when I get home, she is watching TV, as usual. She doesn't hear me come into the flat, as usual. A bottle of red wine is on the table beside her, as usual. She sometimes says the bottle is her only real friend because it never lets her down. Me: "Hi, Nan, I'm home." Nan: "Hello, love, did you have a good day?" Me: "Not really." Nan: "Great. That's good, love." Me: "I'm going out later, Nan." Nan: "Yeah?" I go to the kitchen and make myself some toast. Later, after it gets dark, I notice Nan has gone to sleep. There's a cigarette smoking in the ashtray beside her. I pinch the end. She gets annoyed when she wakes up and the cigarette has burnt itself out. Then I leave the flat. I go down the stone stairs and onto the street. I walk to school thinking. Someone is trashing our music room, and it's happening at night. I want to find out who it is that's doing it. I climb the wire fence into the playground. I'm a good climber. Sometimes I come here in the evenings. I like the school playground, especially when no one else is here. I walk towards the music room. I'm as quiet as a weasel. Then I stop. Am I dreaming? There are no lights in the building, but I can hear music. Piano music. Someone is playing the piano in the dark. I creep forward. I crouch below the window. My heart is thumping. Slowly, slowly, I stand until my eyes are above the windowsill. At first, I see nothing in the blackness of the room. Then, against the white of the piano keys, I can see something move. There is a shadow on the piano stool. It's swaying backwards and forwards. Now my eyes begin to see something in the darkness. A small woman in a long black dress is sitting in front of the piano. So that's a little bit of Marco. Marco is the first to discover Missy, who is not of this world. Okay, so that's a little bit of Marco. So Jamie is the middle voice in terms of complexity of English, and he's the one who's sort of getting into trouble, but he's the one who's kind of invisible with ambitious parents. So this is Jamie's story, a bit of Jamie's story. I'm in my room when my parents come home with my little I'm in my room when my parents come home with my little sister, Lisbeth. I hear the key in the front door lock, and suddenly the house is full of the sounds of a happy family. What a clever girl you are, my mother is saying. Well done, Lisbeth, says my dad. My sister is 4 years old, and my parents think that she is the genius the world has been waiting for. James, my mother calls. I stand at the top of the stairs. What's she done this time? I speak in a sarcastic voice. Written a symphony? Found a cure for cancer? Good evening, James. Dad flashes a fake smile in my direction. In a quiet voice he says to Mum, I'll get Lisbeth her tea. Uh-oh. When my father does his vanishing act, it's never a good sign. It means that one of my mother's talks is on the way. We've had an email from Mr. Attia. She looks up the stairs and the temperature in the hall drops about 50 degrees. He told me what you and the others did in the music room. Others? Your friends. As she says the word friends, she looks as if she's just smelt something very nasty. I sit down on the top stair. Which friends are those, Mum? I've got loads of friends. You know that's not true, James. We often worry how few friends you have. Thanks, Mum. I'm talking about the tall black girl with the loud voice and the little traveller kid. They have got names, you know, Mum. I'm sure Katrina and Marco are very nice in their own way. It's just that their way is a little different from ours. I happen to like them. My mother opens her arms to me. Come here, Jamie. I walk slowly down the stairs, then stand in front of her. She puts her arms around me. I lean away from her. We love you very much, she says softly into my right ear. We just want the best for you. We hate to see you unhappy. The problem's your school, isn't it? No, I say the words into her hair. Of course it is. Barrow Hill School is fine for a certain type of child. It's great that it's so mixed. She holds me closer as if to stop me talking. But maybe it's a bit too mixed for you. It's holding you back, isn't it? We want the best for you. That's why we've decided to move you to St. Matthew's School next term. You'll be with children who are more your type. It's a wonderful school. They get fantastic results. I push away from her. I don't want to. It's decided, she says. This business with the music room has made up our minds. But we didn't do anything wrong. My mother holds up her hand and smiles like a vicar in church. It's all forgotten, she says. So that's Jamie heading for big, big trouble. And lastly of these three characters is Tree, who's this confident, loud, tall, black. Her father's white, her father's black and her mother's white, or other way around, one of them. She's very bright, and so her level of language is the most sophisticated of the three. So this is Trees, a little bit of a tree. Sometimes I can be a little obsessive. As soon as something gets into my brain, it takes over. I can't think of anything else. It might be a few notes of music that are trying to become a song, or a question that I can't answer in class, or sometimes just a word, like Missy. Who is Missy? What is Missy? The day after our visit to Mr. Attia's office, I see Jamie while we are waiting for our teacher, Miss Phelps, to arrive for our first lesson. I ask him what he thinks about the Missy thing. He just shrugs and stares at his desk. I like Jamie, but he can be very moody sometimes. I catch up with Marco during morning break. He never talks much, and today when I mention our little chat with Mr. Attia, he doesn't even seem to be listening. As I talk, he stares at me with those wide blue eyes. It almost seems as if he wants to tell me something. That's how we are, the three of us. Sometimes we tell each other stuff, other times we keep quiet. Each of us likes to go our own way. Meanwhile, I'm still thinking about Missy. Who would write that word on an old music book, and why? At the end of the school day, I wander over towards the old music room. It's locked. My parents won't be home yet, so I decide to go to the school library to do my homework. The library is empty. I sit at a corner table in the history section of the library and absent-mindedly glance at the shelves. I notice a small green book, so thin that it might almost be a magazine or a pamphlet, wedged between two large history books. For some reason, I reach for it to look more closely. It's very old, and judging by the way the binding cracks as I open it, it has not been read for years. Its title is The Annual Register of Barrow Hill School, 1882 to 1883. I'm leafing through its pages when a piece of paper falls out. It's brown and faded, as if it has been cut out of a very old magazine in one corner. In one corner there is some handwriting that has turned pale yellow over the years. I can only just read the words Pall Mall Gazette, September 1882. The headline makes me gasp. I begin to read. 3 children saved from a school fire. Then we go into the magazine from 1882. And the end of the chapter goes, I looked through the list of teachers' names in the register. There is no mention of Miss Dorothea Bryant. Missy had been rubbed out of history. So then we're getting into what happened back in 1882, which has an effect on what happens to these 3 characters in the school today. So there we are, Missy. Just little extracts from Tree there, Jamie and Marco. I hope you enjoy reading it. I hope your pupils enjoy reading it. It helps them with their English, and that maybe you'll be doing another team reader sometime, but I look forward to doing it. And I really enjoy writing it, and I hope you enjoy reading it as much as I enjoy writing it. Thank you very much.